Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Marvel Rewind. For a second there, I got confused because I saw the purple and thought we were doing Hawkeye, but no. We are here to talk a little Miss Marvel, episode 3. And yeah, we're just going to dive straight into it. How you doing, Mr. Berlin?
It's a week. It's a week. I'm okay. It's Thursday. I can't wait for Friday to be over. Friday at work, I already know it's going to be chaos. And so I apologize. I will directly apologize to everyone for the mix-up yesterday. My fault. That's why it was pushed back until today.
Yeah, after I got the sass on Tuesday.
Yeah, it was a full-on blame on me. So, but we're here. We're double booking ourselves with this and Obi-Wan Kenobi next, and yeah, we got a lot of cool things to talk about with Miss Marvel today. So
yes. So yeah.
How are you, Brian? How are you?
I'm good. I actually just found out that we were doing both shows back to back 5 seconds ago. I was in the Kenobi one, and I was like, wait a minute, this says 5 o'clock, and went back and realized it was Miss Marvel and Kenobi. So yeah, but whatever, it's fine. We're here. But yeah, let's just go straight into it. We had a very lore-heavy episode in this one. Saved the action for the end. Got a lot of backstory. A lot of stuff being told to us to try to better understand what is going on in this Miss Marvel little TV series that we are getting. Well, I'm getting a spam call. But yeah, where should we just start? Should we just start straight out with the facts?
I mean, I think the biggest thing we should talk about is the Clandestines, because I feel like the conversation will probably be pretty long on it. I'm very unfamiliar. I know of them. I don't know like super heavy details. But it's nice to know that we finally have a villain, because there's only 6 episodes.
Yeah, we're halfway through.
Yeah, and obviously the Clandestines aren't just going to be around for just this show. But they're from a different dimension, which is a big deal. The Bengal has the ability to essentially transport them.
There's 2 of them.
There are 2 of them, which I think we suspected. I think we talked about that last week, possibly. But also that little twist that possibly her grandmother's wearing it because she saw the train.
Possibly.
Which is interesting. So, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things going here. But, Brian, I'm curious if do you have history with them? Like, could you give me, like, a little backstory or no?
I mean, I looked up stuff. I didn't. Okay. I'm completely transparent. I did not. Like I said, Miss Marvel is one of the newest MCU, like, popular franchises. So I'm still kind of, like, learning as we go, because it's not even 10 years old yet. So it's not.
I think she's only 7, right? 15 or 13.
No, the property's been around 9 years, because I keep wanting to around
2013. 2013.
Yeah. So yeah, there's still stuff that I'm learning. So I went back and watched this twice. First time, I always do a without subtitles and then a subtitles, and the whole lore was very confusing the first time. I had to like slow it down and kind of like go back through it to try to understand it. So we know they're from the Nor dimension, which Nor means light. So
that's what the power is called, is Nor.
Yeah. So they're from the light dimension, if you will, the Nor dimension.
Light.
Yeah, ironic. And then so they're known by many names, the most being the Jinn, spelled with a D.
Which is funny because Din Djarin, right? Also DJ, very interesting.
Very interesting. My mind immediately went to Django, with the D being silent and everyone calling it Django.
Wait, Django's not spelled with a D?
Yeah, it is.
No, Djarin is.
No, I'm talking about the movie Django.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Jango Fett. I'm like, what are you?
No. Sorry. No. Yeah. So they are known by many names, known as the Jinn. They are clandestines, if you will, and they have been exiled from this Nor dimension, light dimension that they're trying to get back.
Which is what they're called in the comics, by the way, clandestines. And it's 2 words, too, by the way. It's not one. It's clan and then destines.
Yeah.
I looked it up. That was the only thing I really looked up.
Yeah. The funny thing being that I researched was the fact that they keep going back and forth between good and bad guys. And like in the comics, apparently right now they're good guys. So it's kind of funny that they're showing up as bad guys. So first off, I couldn't have been the only one waiting for her to say the word Inhuman.
The first thing I thought of was Inhumans.
Okay.
I was like, in my heart was like racing. I was like, are they legit about to say this right now?
Yeah. I held my breath. And then when she said Jin, I was like,
I was waiting for her to say where they were from and then announce the planet and be like, oh my God.
I started to lose my mind because I thought because last week I said, when we were talking about Colin Bennett joining, like, what if they're just on like floating and we just don't know it yet? And then they make.
I'm telling you, Multiverse of Madness was like the beginning of the avalanche for a lot of this stuff, specifically the Inhumans. I think we're gonna get a lot of it now. Obviously, they aren't, but like it's.
All I'm saying is now that the Inhumans are possibly in play, like I'm really wanting an X-Men versus Humans, but I digress.
I think that's what we'll get, but anyway.
I think eventually. But anyways, so yeah, they're exiled. They are no longer welcome wherever they're from in this Nord dimension.
Well, this specific group of them.
Yes. That's what
I kind of see them like the Skrulls, right, where there's good and bad versions.
Okay. My Skrulls theory keeps getting deeper and deeper.
Uh-huh.
I'm convinced Damage Control is Skrulls.
I'm convinced some of them are, not all of them.
Okay, well, yeah, obviously not the whole entire thing. Especially since we saw a Cree blue-colored arm.
Yeah, well, wait, what?
Did you not catch it?
I'm telling you, dude, my week I'm telling you, I watched stuff and moved on in my life because of this week. I'm telling you, man. Like
in the flashback.
Oh, were the Bengals on? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And
okay.
so
Sorry. Yeah.
I think wheels turning.
Well, yeah, we talked about it. We think that the ability came from the Cree.
Yeah, but I'm saying lock it in this episode. The Skrulls know about the bracelets, and they know that they're Cree, powerful to the Cree.
Makes sense.
That's why Damage Control is going so hard after it, because they
100%.
recognize it.
Makes sense.
Anyways.
100%.
So we know that there's 2 of them. Found it on a blue arm. Not a coincidence. Know that they're Cree. We know Najma is obviously one of these Jinn, and that's
the mother, right?
Grandmother is also one of these Jinns, Aisha, and so that makes her.
And she's a hero.
Yes, she's a good version.
And they're making Kamala think that she's a bad person, but it's really the other way around. It's the classic manipulation of the villains.
100%. And yeah, okay, Vapion, yes.
That's what I wanted to talk about. That's 100% what I want to talk about.
My next topic, which was
we talked about it when we were talking about Shang-Chi, and we talked about specifically the post-credit scene. You know, obviously it's saying that like Bruce Banner and Carol Danvers and Wong, they couldn't figure out where the metal was from. I don't know if I said it or someone else said it, but we talked about what if it was Cree made or like alien made that landed on Earth, and that's why it's not something that is recognizable by our science and stuff. I don't know if they're the exact same, but it could very much be something to where like an alien race, let's just say, like, for lack of a better, or lack of knowing other alien races, let's just say the Cree, they created these weapons, right?
Negabands.
That help them throughout time in whether it's surviving, battling, conquering, whatever it may be, in any capacity. They created the bands, they created the bangles. Maybe there's other stuff out there that we don't know about. And it all points back to the Cree. And then, like, all of a sudden, all of us for the past 2 years have been so worried about the Marvels, right? Captain Marvel 2. And then all of a sudden, it becomes the most important movie in the MCU going forward because the rings and the bands could very much be connected to that movie and open the entire door of what is happening with all of these alien space antiques and weapons ending up on Earth and these people finding them and using them.
So what
I think
Jake's
it would make
referring
total sense
to,
if it's connected to. Like,
yes. So what Jake's referring to, if you're listening to audio,
oh
is
yeah, sorry.
the Vapion put the bangle was on a Cree arm in some kind of place with 10 ring symbol. So in the collapsing cavern, if you will, that they were in that partition flashback, on the floor around it, we saw the symbol of the 10 rings, to which Jake just laid
I went off on a tangent. My bad, guys. My bad.
No, that's fine.
It gets me all excited with mythology. I've talked about it before. Mythology gets me going.
Well, my whole thing is like, I'm not afraid to say that I still think Shang-Chi is the best movie of Phase 4.
I agree with you. Actually, I disagree with you. No Way Home.
See,
and then Shang-Chi.
I love Shang-Chi. I might go Shang-Chi then No Way Home by just a teensy bit.
It changes every time I watch them, to be honest.
Yeah. So Shang-Chi clearly is going to have some importance. Ms. Marvel did make an appearance at the end of it. So, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you threw the 10 rings. You don't just happen to throw the 10 rings in the place. They were in this area not far from where Shang-Chi is taking place. It's the same continent of Asia. So, like, it's not out of the possibility that at this time in 1942 that this is happening. It's very interesting how, like, something so simple like that can mean a lot of implications.
Well, I mean, go ahead. Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying as far as going forward.
Multiverse of Madness was all about the multiverse, right? And then the post-credit scene opened up the idea of dimensions with Clea and Charlize Theron showing up at the end. And so we have two different things being the multiverse and then different dimensions. Those are they're separate entities. We're getting the multiverse with No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness and possibly Ant-Man 3. But Ant-Man 3 could also go the route of the quantum realm being another dimension, right? We have the dimension with Clea, the Dark Realm, and then we have this dimension, with the Clandestines and or the Jinn. I guess they're called the Jinn specifically, and they have this really long history with not just Kamala's family, but all of their people, all their friends and everything that we're being kind of introduced to through this show. We heard it in this episode, like the Jinn, they're this like folk tale essentially, right? They're this myth that nobody really believes is true, but little do they know they're right in front of them. And they're not just something that comes from our world, but they have essentially been forced to live here decades and decades and maybe even hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And they've just been stuck here because they can never get their hands on these bangles. I'm very intrigued because, a month ago we were all talking about the multiverse. Now we're talking about dimensions.
There's like two
100%.
There's kind of like two different main stories going on right now, and that's the multiverse and then like this alien world building that's happening as far as like stuff that's going on in space,
but it's all
still in our
eventually
dimension.
It's all going to be the same thing. Like,
100%.
Eventually, it's all going to wrap itself back into one major storyline. And if they end up going the Secret Wars route, or is it Secret? It's Secret Wars, right? Secret Invasion, Secret Wars. Yeah, Secret Wars.
Well, anyway. The long term is probably going to be a Secret Wars.
But yes, where with the two worlds and the dimensions and all that weird, crazy stuff that like Clea's going to be doing, and just anyway. Yeah. I'm curious because we're now halfway through the show. Are they going to go full, like, head on into dimensions for the next 3 episodes, or are they setting something up for like the Marvels and other movies that we'll be seeing? Because we know that she's in the Marvels, obviously, and she's even said like she said that she's surprised at how big of a role Kamala Khan had in that movie. That she's like a
Brie
third,
Larson
yeah, like she's like a third main
realize,
character.
Yeah, she was main character.
And so like if with there only being 3 episodes left, I'm curious as to really how much we're going to actually be diving into it, because it almost feels like the Marvels is where we're going to see like the full effect of what the dimensions are. And as much as like the Cree might be the bad people, or the Skrulls might be the bad people in the Marvels, what if it's actually the Jinn that are the bad people, and these aren't actually the only Jinn that we know of, or that these are the only Jinn we know of in this universe? Like, what if there are a dozen more, hundreds of more that have been here throughout time, and that's actually what Captain Marvel 2 is about?
I mean, it makes sense because we don't. If they didn't know the origin, she would probably know if something was Cree, like
100%, 100%.
And
yes,
I would even loft to say that she would probably know if something was Skrull related. However, there's no one on Earth that we've met, I would assume, that would know this light dimension. Jinn.
So we're in the belief, Brian, that these Bengals aren't from our universe.
Like,
are you with me on that?
Are you talking like from our multiverse, or what?
I'm like, they're not from. Like after this,
are you
episode,
saying they're not from 616?
Yes.
I
think they're from a different dimension, which is why they're not. You can't recognize them.
I mean,
but does a different dimension still make it our universe?
That is
that's
my
where the
biggest
confusion
question.
is. That's trippy.
That's my biggest thing. Being,
do different universes have different dimensions, or is it all like?
That is my biggest thing, because I would like to know. Like, I would assume that there is different dimensions for different
universes.
Universes, because like of just things that we kind of saw through Doctor Strange. Like, I have a hard time believing that. I mean, it would be wild, but I have a hard time believing that the one and only Asgard is destroyed, and there's not another Asgard on a different timeline.
I think is. There's another Thor.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes me think that there would be another Dormammu in a dark dimension, another, like, I don't know, whatever you want to compare it to.
It's curious though, because Clea, like, Strange was traveling through all of these multiverses, but Clea came in because he was traveling in all these multiverses, and she just went to the dark dimension, not, I guess maybe not 616's dark dimension, just the dark dimension. Like, maybe there really is only just dimensions, whereas there's infinite multiverses. So maybe this is the only dimension that this power comes from, and there's not 3, 10, 50, 1,000 different versions of this specific dimension, but there's actually only one of these dimensions. And maybe that's why it's not accessible or readable in our world, because we have no idea what it is.
I will say I do think that
it's super confusing.
I do say I think the Bengals are in the 616 realm.
But are they? See that? Okay, so that's fine. But do you think they're from inside our universe, or are they outside in a dimension? Are they from a dimension? Like the Noir dimension? Are they from there, which is why, or maybe the rings are from there as well, which is why we couldn't read the medals. Because Captain Marvel said, I've never seen it before. And she's freaking space god. Like, she's space police officer, you know? Like she has all this stuff in her suit and everything that can
idea.
read. That's what I'm saying. Like we've thought, and we talked about it on this show, and I know Gordon's been a big advocate for it as well. We've talked about how we thought the Bengals came from Cree, maybe. Like they were Cree related. They were built from there. But what if they're from the newer dimension? They were built there, which is why something like the 10 Rings actually aren't like Banner and Marvel and Wong. They can't read them.
The only
metals actually aren't from this. Like, I guess
here's my only caveat to that.
We're getting deep, guys. We're getting
deep. We are really. Here's my only caveat to what you're saying.
That's why I wanted to start with it.
I think if that is the case, they don't work in our dimension because the Infinity Stones don't. If the Infinity Stones jump out of...
That's multiverses. That's multiverses, Brian. See? This is where it gets tricky. The stones don't work in different multiverses. But dimensions, look at Clea. Clea could use her sword, the dark dimension ability, because it's dimensions. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Dimensions, multiverses, like this is where it gets trippy, man. Like, are we in a dimension right now? Like, what is our dimension called compared to the dark dimension?
Earth.
Right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Are the Bengals of the Earth dimension, or are they made of the Noor dimension, which is why something like the rings, like they had no idea what they were. What if the rings aren't from a different planet, but what if they're from a different dimension?
Yeah, okay, see, like what Andy says, the TVA are in their like own dimension, aren't they? So it's like...
No, the TVA is suspended in time. They're at the end of time. They're not in a dimension or time.
No, the man who, whatever, is at the
I don't think so, man. I think they're just like in a blank spot. Like, I'm pretty sure the TVA is just like in a hole in the middle of everything. They're not in a dimension or multiverse. This is what I'm saying. This is crazy. I cannot believe we're at this point in the MCU right now where we are talking dimensions, multiverses, confusing one and the other. Like,
this is so beyond like my simple brain.
This is true nerd talk right here.
It's so beyond my simple brain to like even think this far, because like in my notes right now, I'm like, in the credits, a Trust-a-Bro truck drives by.
Yeah,
like, that's in my notes. And we're in like
Which that's happened every credit, by the way. Have you seen that? That's happened every credit.
This is the first time I actually paid close enough attention to.
No, it's been pretty funny. So okay, moral of the story is I'm of the belief right now after this episode that the Bengals, they came from the Noor dimension. Noor. They are not
Spider-Man Noir.
Yeah, Spider-Man Noir. I don't think the Bengals are of our dimension. And I'm starting to believe that the rings aren't of our dimension. I think they may be of something else that isn't of Cree or a different planet or whatever, that it's from somewhere else, that maybe someone broke open a dimension and they got locked in here, or like we saw with the Noor, they traveled, they got, sent, and maybe the Bengals got sent with them. I'm starting to believe that they aren't actually of our dimension, that they are from somewhere else.
It's giving me a headache to think about it, but
it's so fun. It's so fun.
I'll say this. I think whatever this means, I think that you have to go to another place to be where these things are from. It's not just like,
well, yeah, but Kamala's using them.
No, I know, and I'm just saying, whatever you want to call it, dimension.
It's a dimension. She said dimension, so it's a dimension.
Whatever. I'm saying you have to travel through a not normal way in order to get there. That's where I will go at, because if I think beyond that, it hurts my brain.
Do you think this show's going to show it? Do you think we're going to travel to a different dimension in this show? Do you think Kamala will actually go?
No, I think that's what's going to set up the Marvels.
I think so too. I think maybe we'll get a flashback of it happening. Like another. I think I would love to see another flashback. Like maybe what happened to Aisha. Like
you will see. When she first puts it on and she kind of like falls backwards, and there seems to be like tons of people.
She was in a dimension.
Yeah, that's
yes.
I think you'll see maybe a flashback from Aisha's point of view, like that, like really quick. But I don't think she's going to actively go by the next 3 episodes to that place.
I think we're going to see what happens to Aisha.
Unless that train has something to do with it.
I'm very curious about the train. The train is very interesting. The train is I don't like why. What's the point? Also, and I know Rachel just brought it up as well, and I brought it up at the beginning, but how did her grandmother see it? And Rachel's right. I'm super excited to see Pakistan next episode too. It seems like we're going to be going there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
I don't know how she's going to get there, but
so we know that when Najma touched the bangle, I keep calling it a banglet, the bangle with Kamala wearing it, the train appeared. On the front of the train, it said Karachi, which happens to be the exact same place that Nani, when she called and FaceTimed her, said, you and your mother have to get here now, as soon as possible.
Isn't where they're from? It's from where they're from, right?
Yeah. Well, at least that's where the grandma is. And that seems to be where we're heading. I'm very curious how one goes about, hey, Mom, we need to go to Pakistan right now.
She's 100% doing without her mom's permission. 100%.
But Nani said, bring your mom. Your mom and you need to come here. So I'm thinking Mom's going with them.
Then I'll say right now, then she's 100% going to show her mom her power.
Probably.
I think that's going to be the one thing that's going to get her mom to go.
I'm starting to think that her whole family will know.
Actually, you know what's funny? I'm starting to believe her family already knows what the Bengals do.
The mom has an idea.
Yeah.
I think the mom has an idea. Because the mom was I said it from the first time we reviewed it. The mom was we
talked about it.
Yeah.
She had some iffy things going on about her.
She immediately grabbed that bangle and put it away.
I think her mom is so protective over her because of what happened to her grandmother, and she's keeping the real secret of what's going on from Kamala. 100%.
And I asked you that in the very beginning, do you think the mom has any idea about the bangle and stuff?
100%.
And I think
100%.
she does, which is funny because you said no in the beginning. So I like that you
100% she does. She's a sneaky SOB. Tell you that much.
I will say this again. I absolutely adore the family.
Mm-hmm. The wedding was really cool. The wedding was super cool.
The wedding was awesome. Mm-hmm. The brother, when the fire alarm immediately running to grab the cash and run out, had me dying.
Yes.
Because there's someone in every family that would immediately do that. And I was cracking up. The money. He just immediately goes straight for it. One of my favorite things about this whole show is how colorful it is. It's just,
the culture. That's just the culture.
But just in general, the culture, the use of the art being drawn on the screen, just everything.
Which I'm happy they didn't just stop doing. I'm glad that they've continued that.
When they text, it pops up like a little
because
a thread.
At the end of the day, Miss Marvel really is a coming of age story. And we've seen plenty of coming of age stories in the past do that, where they do the text threads. I think Love, Simon does that with text messages, and a ton of movies in the past they do when someone's writing notes and they have letters on the screen. It just fits so well with the genre. And
I'll say it. Well, that first episode is one of the coolest TV episodes I have ever watched. It's so cool.
Well, to be honest, the show in general is visually beautiful.
Oh, it's amazing.
And there's been a lot of talk online about the MCU Disney Plus shows as of late, kind of how they started out so strong with WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, and then Moon Knight kind of struggled at times with the effects because of the suit and stuff. And then obviously the trailer for She-Hulk and people jumping on that bandwagon like 4 months way too soon. But Miss Marvel has always stuck to his guns about, and I know she's not like suiting up or anything, but the ability from the Bengal, you know, you've talked about the visuals with like the drawings or the stuff on the walls and everything. I've never second guessed it. They've done a great job of just playing to her character and also really keeping everything really, really tight nipped to what it should look like for this type of show. And you mentioned the colors and how vibrant it is, and it really stands out, and it plays to how well, like, it makes the show better. Where a lot of it, like, and it also it moves the story forward. Whereas sometimes we see this in shows or movies and it doesn't do anything for the story. This matters. It really matters 100%. And that's why it feels so different, is because it's important to everything that's going on. And Gordon has a great point. Juno does that, and Juno does that perfectly. And that's why part of the reason why that movie is loved so much is because of that.
I think it makes you like realize that this at the end of the day is like a kid, like coming of age type story. Like if this was to happen during Captain America, it'd be like, it's kind of weird, but like
there's nothing else it can happen in right now. Nothing.
Yeah, that's out right now. Like this makes me think like I would love to see in the future, like maybe like when Miles Morales comes in at some point, like doing something like this. Granted, yes, I know we have it from Spider-Verse, but like there is that, or maybe something with the Young Avengers, like at some point. Like
I think Miles Morales is the perfect opportunity to do something crazy, and I know that it's already been done, but you essentially take, to a little bit of a lesser degree, you take Spider-Verse and put that on the screen.
Yeah, it's visually, it's one of my favorite things that I've seen come out of the MCU. I honestly, this show is at the top right now of my favorite of the MCUs, and it's not even over yet.
I mean, it's up there probably, and it's definitely above Moon Knight at the moment for me. I really like Moon Knight, but I put it above Moon Knight. I'd have to like do a full thing once the series is over, but I mean, for it being, I'll say out of the two shows that we've gotten with brand new characters, it is definitely surpassing Moon Knight. It is way more consistent.
I think so. I actually will probably agree with you on that. It's funny because my friends back home, they one of them goes, "I'm not watching this. This looks stupid," and then
people with that kind of attitude.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. This looks dumb. It looks like it's made for kids. Watches the first episode. It's okay. Then has gotten to this point, and he's like, I love this show. And it just shows, like, you have to truly, like, watch it because you might think something looks stupid, and you might end up loving it. And you know, it's not going to be for everyone because the other friend, he was like, it looks pretty good. Like, I'll give it a shot. He doesn't care for it right now, and that's fine. But it's funny because like you have to truly give it a shot because it may be something completely different than what you're expecting. I did not expect to like it this much, like to the point where if within 24 hours I'm watching it twice. It's been a pleasant surprise, and they're telling a very good story with a new character. I know there are the purists that are still very upset about like them changing certain things, but for someone that's watching it and casually still learning what's going on with this character, like I'm enjoying this character. This character is becoming one that I really, really like. Like this, Miss Marvel was not even on my radar of characters I like. Like I have no problem admitting that. Like before this, I didn't read a single Miss Marvel comic. I didn't watch a Miss Marvel show. The only exposure I ever had to her was the Avengers game, the video game that came out last year, 2 years ago. And she was a fun character to play. This show is making me like actively want to know more about this character. And it's cool because I don't have to go back 70 years to learn about this character like a Spider-Man, Captain America, whatever. It's only 9 years old. So it's pretty cool what they're doing with it. And like John Booz just said, it's family oriented to where I feel like someone that maybe is a casual watcher will really enjoy it. So I'm really enjoying
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. It's we've talked about it for a long time with the MCU and certain movies and now television shows where they take a lot of risk by doing a genre within the genre. The first of the kind was kind of the Winter Soldier, where they did a political spy thriller inside a comic book storyline. And then Ant-Man obviously did the comedy heist inside a superhero storyline. And now we're getting a coming-of-age story, even more so than a Spider-Man coming-of-age story inside a comic book world. And we're seeing her kind of, grow and deal with family life. And I think I may have said it every single episode, but it reminds me so much of what Smallville did, because the majority of the show isn't her doing superhero stuff. We wouldn't see an extended scene or sequence of a family wedding in a major Marvel property movie. We would only see that in a show, and specifically this type of show, because it is so much
whole dance number.
Yeah, it's fully focused on the character. And that's what Smallville did a lot of. There was a lot of episodes where Clark used his powers and stuff, but a lot of the times it was him dealing with his friends, school, bullies, family, whatever it may be, conversations with Lex. And that's kind of what the show is doing. It's her dealing with the ins and outs of Bruno or Brian, however you want to say it. Now the Jinn, her family life, school, and all these different aspects that she's dealing with as a 15, 16-year-old kid. And we don't get that very much. Like, we've gotten tidbits of it in Spider-Man, like moments, but they've been taken away so quickly because he has to go off and be a superhero, right? He has to run off and go save someone's life, or, swing across the city and do this, or whatever it may be. This is it's like an 85% Kamala Khan, 15% Miss Marvel type of stuff. And I love that because it is character centered, and we don't get a lot of that in these big giant comic book stuff these days. But that's what Marvel's done so well of, or so good of, over the last number of years. They really focus and hone in on the characters of Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff and Tony Stark, rather than Iron Man, Black Widow, Captain America. There's a reason why most of the time he was called Captain Rogers and not Captain America, because it was fully focused on the character of Steve Rogers. And they're doing that with Kamala Khan, and I really appreciate it. So.
Yeah. I think, honestly, my favorite thing about the show is the fact that I can literally see myself in the character, just in the context of, her just being a giant nerd for this superhero stuff.
Yeah.
And 100%. That, I think, is something that makes me enjoy it that much more. Two other quick things that I have written down. We have the first piece of her professional costume, her actual
the goggles,
accurate. Yeah.
Her eyewear. They're not necessarily goggles. They're eyewear.
Mask.
Whatever. I guess mask. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. So Bruno gave her that present. We have our first little piece of her.
What a good guy. Suit. Brian. You mean Brian? Brian.
Yeah. His character is one of my favorite parts, because he's just so that is how those a kid that age would act. Has a crush on the girl, but then has responsibilities. He's willing to do whatever he can for his friend. Blah 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 blah. He's almost kind of like her conscious in a way, where it's he's telling her you when she wanted, so there's a chance that I can do this. He's no, you might get hurt doing this. You need to not do it. Talks her down and from doing said things. And then sticking with the friends, the Nakia, seeing that she is Nightlight.
I will say, though, I hope, and I know they're probably going to go this way, but we've seen it so many times in the past where someone's identity gets revealed and they don't talk for like an extended period of time, or they like hold a grudge. I hope it doesn't get to that point, because we've seen so much of it. We've seen in Smallville did it, Arrow did it, The Flash, like all those shows have done it to where like the person that finds out that this person's been lying about who they are, they hold a grudge, or they're mad, or they're pissed off. Like, I hope that, like, maybe she questions it, but I hope that it's just kind of like,
it's like, you should have just told me and then move on.
Yeah, like I hope we just kind of move on from it, especially because we only have 3 episodes left. Like I don't want there to be a slight break in the relationship and then a mending. I just want it to be over and done with. Let's move on. They know, cool deal.
I think that it will, because like you said, there's only 3 episodes. I would imagine you have to kind of move fast with it. Like, they're gonna, what it seems like, leave and go to Pakistan. Like, they're not.
And I hope it's the 3 of them. I hope the 3 of them go.
See, now I think that it might literally just be the mom and her.
Really?
And I think the mom and her go. Bruno stays and goes to Caltech. The Nakia stays.
But isn't it a summer program?
No, he's supposed to leave like within.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
He's spending the second semester of their school year.
Oh, it was the second semester is what it was. Okay.
Yeah. So I think she's going to literally take the role working at the mosque, and then he's going to leave and go to Caltech, and then they all, okay, let's be safe friends, and then she books it to Karachi. So I think that's where it ends at. And then maybe like at the very end of the show, maybe start of the Marvels, they come back together. I don't know. I'm curious.
The whole Marvel thing,
I think Bruno is more likely to show up than Nakia
in the Marvels.
Just because he seems to be seems to be a brain.
Yes. I just don't know what he would be doing there if Carol is with Sword. Right?
No,
like,
I know. I'm not saying for sure that they do, but I'm saying out of the 2 of them going forward, I would assume
because
friends, you would see him over.
Oh, for sure. I think outside of the Marvels, whenever we see Kamala, I think for sure Bruno will probably be there. And maybe it's just my hope for it, but I really want the Marvels to take place in space like 90% of the time.
I think it will.
And so there wouldn't be room for Bruno. Yeah, like there wouldn't be room for Bruno in that.
I wouldn't be surprised if Maria Rambeau is the one that gets him through to the other dimension. Monica, sorry.
You're good. I mean, that's part of her ability. That's part of her ability.
The light dimension.
What is part of her ability?
Light.
It's part of her ability.
Photon light. Photons are light.
Well, yeah. If you look up Photon's abilities in like the Marvel Wiki, it's the ability to do dimensional kind of like transfers.
And during like Secret Wars, she literally gets frozen. As
she's going to be a big part of stories going forward. She's going to be a big part.
Yeah. So.
But no, hey, what about the
come together?
100%. And Kevin Feige even said this week, you're going to learn more about this next saga coming up soon. Like, obviously, all those friggin' hardcore people need to calm down and get off their high horse.
Yeah, Rachel Cameron is awesome. I love him too.
Yeah, I love that he's going against their wishes. You know, he's not just someone who's like following. He's also making decisions for himself.
Can someone find me a belt that turns into that badass whip like that? Because
he got his butt whipped though. He got his butt whipped though.
That was he did.
He got his butt whipped. But I do like that he made the decision to kind of help and do what he can to save them. You know, he's not full. He's very much like Kamala, right? Like he's part of them, but he was born here in this dimension. So I like that. I'm interested to see where his character goes from here with his mom kind of being all villainy now. I was totally just going to say something about an Easter egg. Oh, the Eric Selvig Easter egg, which was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
About dimensions. Selvig is clearly kicking strong still, doing his own thing.
Read his paper.
But I mean, outside of that, really, like, the only real stuff to talk about was the dimensional stuff and the newer and stuff. And I'm super excited to see where it goes and how we get there and what we learn. Because it's something totally brand new, right? Like it's a total brand new thing in this MCU storyline. And whether or not it has huge implications or if it's just a small story for this or it sets up something larger, I'm very excited to see where it goes the next 3 episodes and that we do have 3 full episodes of them kind of dealing with it. And if we do spend next
we've
episode
said
in
it
Pakistan,
every single time, the length is perfect.
Yeah, for sure. And if we spend the next episode in Pakistan, super excited. I hope that we learn much more about Kamala's great grandmother, being that it's her grandmother's mother. Because if her grandmother, like if you're the daughter of Anur, you 100% know what the hell's happening. So her grandmother for sure has got some answers that we're going to learn next week. So
I wouldn't be surprised if Grandma has the bangle. Jesus.
You always say banglet, which is fine,
I know.
whatever.
I know. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us on this. I was going to say quick rewind. It's 45 minutes, not quick. But yeah, thank you as always for joining us. We are literally about to go hop into another YouTube and talk about some Star Wars and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So if you want to come join us there, that'd be fun. Fandalorian Club starts in 5 minutes. But that is going to do it for the Marvel Rewind for episode 3 of Miss Marvel. Check back next week, either Wednesday or Thursday, when we break down episode 4 of Miss Marvel. So for Apocalypse Movies, I'm Brian. That is Jake. And we'll see you guys next time.